Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name's Chris, and tonight I checked out this sci-fi movie called The Colony, directed by one Tim Fehlbaum. So The Colony is about a future in which the Earth is uninhabitable and the rich flee to another galaxy, to Kepler 209 or 239 or something. And after years of living there, they are no longer able to reproduce. So now they send this exploratory team back to Earth to see if it's habitable again. And of course, some hijinks ensue. Not exactly a completely original idea. I mean, there's like the 100, you have Elysium, you have After Earth. All these kind of movies and shows and properties kind of deal with this scenario of what happens if we return to Earth after hundreds or thousands of years. And then, of course, there's always people still alive there. And then the conflict between them, the people returning, and blah, 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 blah. Obviously a little bit of a social commentary message in this as well, as it's referenced that humanity has kind of just mined the shit out of Earth and taken every kind of resource, and climate change, obviously, blah, 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 caused this apocalyptic scenario. And Earth is now basically like a water world, or mostly all water. There's no real plant life or anything like that, which begs a lot of questions. And that's kind of the thing with this movie. We'll get into it because I have a ton of positive things to say about it, but there is some glaringly obvious plot holes that you really have to struggle not to question to kind of make this thing work. And I'll get into some of that with some spoilery type stuff maybe. But overall, the movie is fantastic looking, unbelievable looking, especially because I didn't have much expectation. So going into this, it's just super surprising how the aesthetic really comes to life here. I looked up the director then and realized I had seen one of his previous movies, the 2011 sci-fi movie called Populace, and there's some similarities there where this guy just has a really great way of realizing an aesthetic, and it's being cohesive and consistent throughout. So in this movie, it's a hazy, desolate, just wet, gritty world that they've created, and it's realized in every single fashion, from the sets to the props, to the outfits and the makeup. Everybody's dirty. It just really sells. You get this cold feeling just from the water everywhere. It must have been awful to shoot this thing because everybody is constantly wet and dirty and in water. It really works. It sells the aesthetic in a way that makes it feel otherworldly. It makes it just feel like a real world. And I know it's supposed to be Earth, but it's not like a really recognizable version of Earth. Sure, you have some like old technology and boats and stuff like that they're kind of bringing through, but it does make it feel just desolate and bleak, which I think obviously is what they're going for. Outside of that, the direction here is great. It's incredibly well shot. The editing is good. The acting, for the most part, is really good as well. There are some tense moments, and they're directed well. It's just a really visually interesting movie. There's also some CGI here and there that also works really well, that I noticed from basically from like setting and background images and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of stuff was added in post, but it's all pretty flawless. It kind of looks like an HBO show or something. Like, it's the quality there is just pretty impressive. Also, the people from Kepler who fled Earth have this kind of nationalistic philosophy where it's not about the individual, but about the full society, which is where the main conflict comes in for our lead character, Blake, played by Nora Arnzetter. Right? Sorry if I butchered that. She doesn't have much of a character, which kind of makes sense because she's also kind of a proxy for the viewer, but she has sort of this backstory that they tease out through her father and flashbacks where there's this relationship. Some of that stuff fails for me, and especially the father actor. I don't know if it was a choice or if it was just the acting, but this guy, his character at least, seems like he's like, I don't know, drugged out of his mind or something, where he has like no reaction to anything that's kind of going on, and it's weird and out of place and off-putting a bit. But you have some themes in there just about like morals and like supremacy over other people, and that's kind of the character's journey to realize her ethics, and like the ends don't always justify the means kind of thing. It's been done a million times before. It kind of works here. But, okay, so the whole concept is where I start to have problems with the movie. I didn't write down the Kepler planet, but I did bother to look it up at one point, and it's almost 2,000 light years away. And this is the thing, is like, these people had the technology to travel to a planet 2,000 light years away, but when they come to this planet, they're back to the planet, they're completely unprepared. They basically have no technology at all. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, they're unable to solve the problem of reproduction on Kepler because of the radiation, but they're able to solve these incredibly, impossible things like traveling 2,000 light years away. And they even make a reference to it later in the movie that the people on Kepler are like in their 40s as an average, so by the time they get back to Earth, they'll be much older. But then our lead actress is like, I don't know, mid-20s or something, so she must have left Kepler on this highly advanced mission when she was like 15 or something. It doesn't make any sense. It's like a huge glaring plot hole that is obvious, and it's weird that they just kind of don't ever say anything about it. We also have like fuel. There's boats running on fuel and stuff. It's just confusing of how the world came to be in the way it is, or how much time has passed, and yet we have technology still, but we also don't have enough technology to solve problems. It's just weird. Like, it's all, I get the basic story is more about these characters arriving here and what happens and making those choices, but there's a lot of backstory or a lot of world building that is necessary to bring this all to light, and it's all weird and full of holes. Like, it's like they forgo explaining anything because they just needed to push the plot beats along, and it just comes off as kind of lazy writing at that aspect. The musical score is also really well done. It accompanies the visuals in a perfect way. So there's a ton to like about this movie, and I did enjoy it while I was watching it. But there's definitely some issues with the writing that definitely hampers what this movie could be. I think if the story was a bit more fleshed out, maybe a little bit more original in some ways, backed up by this production and the acting and the score, you could have something really, really special here. But as it is now, I think it is worth checking out if you like sci-fi stuff and you like dreary, kind of bleak movies. It's not exactly nihilistic, but it does get kind of dark sometimes. But maybe worth checking out, called The Colony. It's out now. Let me know if you've seen it, what you think, and then hit the like button if you like this video. That helps out the channel. Leave a comment. That also helps it out. And I'll catch you here next time, guys. Goodbye.